Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I learned some major information today. I know now why Ripple is so confident. Let me drop a bunch of information on you. Now, this all stems back to Swift. Okay. Now, Swift has this thing they're doing with consensus, this nexus that they're building, this little blockchain that they're doing where they're going to connect a bunch of different blockchains to this overarching nexus that Swift wants, so they can incorporate their rich messaging, ISO, and all that type of stuff like that. That's key. The banks, let's make this clear, the banks will utilize their preferred DLT. Which DLT is working with a ton of banks? You're starting to get it? The banks choose their preferred DLT system, and then they connect. That's where the value is going to move through. Then they connect it. This is what Swift hopes. They'll connect it to the Swift system, which that in itself is going to be problematic. I'm going to tell you right now, because you have the Swift system, then you have the Swift, that massive Swift alternative system. I think it's called CIPS. That China is working with. Then you have the other major system that Russia is working with. They've already connected with hundreds, if not, I think like 100, 200, maybe 300 banks each, right? Providing themselves as an alternative to Swift. So you have this battle in the legacy system happening at the same time. DLT is dominating. XRP, Ripple are dominating. Hedera, Chainlink are dominating. But the banks choose their preferred DLT. I want to iterate that. What's their preferred DLT that they're going to allow value to flow through? You see that when Ripple came out and they said, we have a ton of central banks we're working with. Some of them we didn't even name. Now we know why they said that. When Stuart Alderati, I believe it was, came out, like a year or two ago and said that he believed that the banks would choose XRP or the XRPL. Now we know why they said that. When Ripple says how do they say? I'm paraphrasing. They can replace Swift, or they're competing with Swift or something like that, to focus on the liquidity, like what we uncovered in yesterday's video. That's why watching each video is important. Now we know why they said that. Because Ripple has a ton of banks. They expect themselves to be the preferred DLT. Look at the banks, folks. Swift only controls messaging. They don't control the banks and the technology that they use. They don't. That's why they had to come out and say it from Swift themselves. Go read the document. It was released today. Then read all the other documents that piece the puzzle together. That money. Let me calm down. It appears to me that if the bank coin companies continue to do their job well, that the victory is already there. They just have to put in the work, close the deals, deploy the technology, make sure it's ahead of the curve, which it is. Now, here's another thing, folks. So you got that piece of information, okay? Look all this up. Look all of this up. Read all this stuff. The ISO deadline. I told you, when it gets closer to that deadline, we're going to find out if the banks are in rebellion to Swift. The system itself. You can still utilize something even though you're in rebellion to it. It's like a child who doesn't agree with its parents. They're in rebellion to the parents, but they're still going to eat the parents' food, use the parents' money, borrow the parents' car, go to college on the parents' dime. It's like that. Now we're inching closer to the ISO 20022 deadline. How many? I said it just like that for emphasis, right? So he gets the mind stimulated. How many banks have acquiesced to Swift's demands? Let's go over some facts, some factual information. According to data from early to mid 2025. Sorry, my apology if I was a little bit loud. When I get excited, I get explosive. My apologies. According to data from early to mid 2025, the adoption rate of ISO 20022 varies depending on the metric used. One report from January 2025 stated that only, this is in January, look how slow it's moving, keep all these numbers in mind. One report from January 2025 stated that only 40% of Swift network was expected to be compliant by the November 2025 deadline. Now alone, that doesn't seem like anything. Swift was demanding, oh, you better catch up, the deadline is right now. Why are they not acquiescing? Why are they not obeying? Don't get left behind. This is what Swift is saying. This is what the BIS is saying. If you don't adopt ISO, you'll be left behind unless there's another system. Unless the bank coins are already in those regions working with those banks. What banks have been rearing their heads as of late? ANZ. Doesn't Ripple work with ANZ? Isn't ANZ is in Australia? A couple of banks down there reared their heads to speak recently. Ripple has worked with those banks. Hedera also is in Australia. I can't remember which banks they worked with. That's interesting. What are the banks? A couple other banks in the Middle East reared their heads. Was it Qatar? Who's deep in Qatar? Look all of this up. Little Google search. Ripple is deep with Qatar. Are they not? Right. You see my perspicacious friends. We're in the driver's seat. The golden age creaks a little bit wider open. It looks more and more likely they're going to hand that bank money over. The connections are there. You know what I'm about to say, don't you? They have what? What do they have? You say it first. They have, say it with me. We'll say it together. Make you feel better. We'll say it together. They have the connections for the collection. So let everybody hear that that's around you. They need to hear it. They have the connections for the collection. This is not a game. We're about to score. Let me speak for myself. I don't want to drag you in anything with me. I only represent myself, not financial advice. You make up your own mind. I feel very, very confidently we're about to score the biggest victory of all time. For some of us, it's about the victory, the W. For some of us, it's about the capital gains that's coming. That's what should be massive, not financial advice, should be massive. Some are worried about both. This is the time period where legends are about to be made. In my humble opinion, you don't have to agree with me. You're not me, I'm not you. It's just my humble opinion. Okay, so I dropped that number on you. Let me give you more. My apologies. Let me talk sometimes. I said, I'm going to. I'm just being polite. January 2025 stated that only 40% of the SWIFT network was expected to be compliant by the November 2025 deadline. Another report from a different company. Another report from February 2025 indicated that by December 2024, a mere 32.9% of organizations had adopted the new standard. So they went from, apparently, right? I mean, it's just an estimate, from December 32.9% to January 40%. You know they're in rebellion. You know they were drooling. Here's the thing. Let me add this in before I forget. Don't you let me forget. How dare you? I'm kidding around, folks. Chill, relax. Here's the thing. With Swift, they're getting the bill. Look this up. Somewhere at the beginning of the video, I should have put a bunch of screenshots so you could see with your own eyes. Then you could look it up. Look it all up and save it. With Swift, even with their new developments with Chainlink and consensus, they're crawling on their knees to everybody. Even with all of that, the banks are still getting the bill. They got fees all over the place, folks. What was the precedent that was set before they start undergoing this new process? The precedent that they set, or the first iterations of this type of system, was Swift GPI. They were getting billed all over the place. All types of hidden fees, the same type of hidden fees that people were complaining about before will persist. Versus the bank coin blockchains, the new financial system, which will be, in my humble opinion, the preferred DLTs of all the banks. That's why they're not complying with Swift. It's not about ISO. It's about Swift. They're showing Swift, hey, wait a minute, we're not satisfied with what you're doing. We can go another way, and they can. Ripple knows that. That's why they've been talking spicy. So with Swift, they're getting the bill. With the Bankcoin companies, almost no fees at all. Much low, almost non-existent. Not only that, but because now those same companies and people that work at those companies are involved with other companies that have XRP treasuries, Solana treasuries, Chainlink treasuries, they're working on that, Bitcoin treasuries, they're going to make money outright when the system is used. You see where all of this is going? So they're incentivized to use the system that's going to both benefit them by cutting the cost and making the money by holding or trading, whichever you prefer, the native tokens. Ooh, you see the game? You see, this is factual. Take a look for yourself. Huh? Right. Look at the banks. Look who works at the banks. Look at the connections that they have. Look at the connections that the large asset managers have. Then look at the fact that they're building treasuries all over the place. Now they're making this massive push for more companies to build treasuries. You saw that article, right? Then they're making this massive push. BlackRock is to get Wall Street. They want Wall Street. Get in there, guys. Get in there and play. I told you, they want the lion's share to themselves. There's one problem. We got in first. We got in early. Look this up. So now, wait, I dropped those numbers on you. Wait a minute. That's not all. I told you, I was researching all morning. Wait a minute. Look at this. By the way, if you like this content, for the love of everything that's good, take those powerful hands and hit that like button. Heck, hit it more than once. I feel like this is one of my best videos in a long time. I put in work for you today. Wait a minute. Look at this. So that was from January, you heard 40%. Then from November, you heard 32.9%. These are professional companies. This is what they do. Then we have this number here. Look at this. More recent, just to show you how much in rebellion that they are, that the percentage barely changed. More recent figures from June 2025 show that over 40% of daily traffic on the network is now in the ISO 20022 format, only 40%. There was literally no change from January to June. And there's only a few months left. Really, September pretty much is over. So there's 1 month left to the deadline. They have 40% at June. Folks, why are the banks in rebellion? Why are they not adopting the standard? Why are they rebelling against Swift? It's not about the standard. Well, it's about Swift. They're adopting DLT. They're playing in all types of sandboxes. Look into that. They're playing with XRPO sandboxes. They're playing with Hedera sandboxes. Getting ready, testing things out in simulated environments, getting ready for the massive deployment, the flip of the switch moment. Why are they doing that? They're on board with DLT. Remember, they get to choose their preferred DLT. The bank coins believe it's going to be them. I believe it's going to be them as well. They can't beat them. They're faster. They're cheaper. No hidden fees. And it gives the banks control. Then also, it allows them to stay neutral to do business globally, whereas Swift has been weaponized. It's a weaponized system. They're never going to get back global reach the way that they had it. It's not going to happen. And no one that's wise, I believe, is going to take the chance in utilizing Swift system alone as the rest of the world cuts off systems that are primarily leveraged by the West against them. Think about that also. June 2025, that showed 40%. Now let me really hit you with a number. It says, however, another perspective from January 2025, going back to that date, highlighted that 75% of all payments transiting the Swift network were still utilizing legacy formats. That's terrible if you're a messaging company primarily. Why aren't the companies you were serving happy with you enough to comply? Or maybe they're happier with someone else. Do you not see the divorce happening between the banks and SWIFT? Huh? They're getting it from someone else. They're preparing to be with someone else. I think that this imagery paints a certain picture, right? I think it makes it clear. Folks, this is coming from Brown Brothers Harriman. A lot of the screenshots you saw were from SWIFT itself. In the beginning of the video, Finastra, SWIFT, once again, as a reference source. Folks, this is coming right from the horse's mouth. This is why they've been saying, we want interoperability. We want to just connect everything together. They don't have a choice if they want to be involved and not be overtaken by the XRPL, Hedera, Cardano, possibly Chainlink conglomeration. They're here. And they're fixing to dominate. Fixing, positioning themselves to dominate, period. That bank money, interbank payments, is going to, in my humble opinion, let me not say going to make it sound like it's a guarantee or I'm an absolutist. I'm not an absolutist. This is just the way that the research is leaning me based on what I've seen. If you've seen something different, I can't control that. Interbank payments, in my humble opinion, should make that price explode. I don't need to put a number on it. I just need to recognize a great deal of potentiality and then capitalize on it. It's like being on the mat. I just need to know I can take you down. I see a flaw in your game. I just need to know I can get in on those legs. I'm going for those legs. I'm going to shoot in. It's up to you to stop me. I'm going to get those legs. And I feel like once I take you down, I'm going to win. That's just how I feel. That's my mentality. Always been that way. And I've done it so many times over and over again. I know it. So that's how it feels. I just need to get your legs and I'm going to win. We just need to get those interbank payments and it takes off. Wait a minute. There's something else I wanted to bring to you. Something else about SWIFT. I did so much research today. That was just the tip of the iceberg. I want to read you this little tidbit here. This is very important to remember. This is coming from internationalbanker.com. So it's serious business. This is what they say. A significant consequence of this financial weaponization is the paradoxical loss of a long-term leverage. The immediate effectiveness of SWIFT sanctions. Let's stop right there for a moment. The immediate effectiveness of SWIFT sanctions. You don't think that becomes even more immediate? Even quicker? Even more, there's even more finality to it with DLT attached to them? This is why the banks are in rebellion. So even though, let's say they have this blockchain aspect that they're building, they claim they want to be a connector piece, although we know some value can move through that system. It will flow through the preferred DLT systems. Let's say the XRPL, most banks want to use the XRPL. Just say that. Then all the value, interbank payments flowing through the XRPL, what SWIFT is saying is that after it comes through the XRPL, let it flow through us so we can do all of this different messaging stuff, the traditional stuff that SWIFT does, check it for this and that. And of course, they are the source of ISO, right? So that's what they're saying. Or that's what they're hoping for. But it doesn't change that most systems are going away from SWIFT because of this. The immediate effectiveness of SWIFT sanction. If Europe has a problem with somebody, boom, SWIFT is on them. If the US has a problem with somebody, boom, SWIFT is on them, giving them problems, punishing them. Then this is why SWIFT is losing. This is why they're not going to be the connector piece of the future. It will be something like the new financial system of the XRPL and Hedera, Chainlink, Stellar, Algorand. Did I say Chainlink already? But the usual suspects. There's only a few bank coins. It's not a whole lot of them. But let's continue on. It continues. While demonstrating unparalleled Western leverage. Come on. You think most of the world is going to continue to use this system, even though for the last 3 to 4 years, they've been looking for alternatives? Hence why most of them have not acquiesced or complied as of now. It says acts to the deadline. It says acts as the primary catalyst, driving strategic adversaries to allocate massive resources toward developing parallel and alternative financial architectures. This strategic response is an attempt to create financial and trade flows inoculated from Western political control. For major economic powers, maintaining financial connectivity becomes a matter of national security, serious business, providing the political justification needed to fast-track competing systems. This is why this global system that the bank coins have formed, and we'll just say, let's just take Ripple as an example. They're in China. They have close relationship with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. They're in Japan. They have close relationship with them. They're in Australia, deep. Middle East, MENA region, deep. The UK, deep. United States, super deep. Latin America, super deep. Yeah, I did it different. Just keep it interesting. You got to make things interesting. That's why they did it. They can be the neutral connector piece. If they're smart, they go for it all. I'm telling you right now, they go for as much as they can. That XRP, $10? To each his own. We all have our own belief. $10 XRP? I feel like when people say that, $8 to $10, I feel like when people say that, it's the same as when people, believe XRP wouldn't pass 60, 70, 80 cents again. And people told me that. That's why it just sticks in my mind. I remember. I feel like that. Like, no, listen, if this goes, watch the catalyst. Watch the catalyst. It'll tell you everything you need to know. The causes. Watch the causes. You'll know what effects are about to be born. All right, let me cover a little bit. I have so much more. We'll come back tomorrow maybe, and I'll finish this up. There's so much more I could say about this. I uncovered a lot of information today. Let's cover a little bit of Bitcoin news because I have no idea now how long this video is. I don't want to make it too long. I want to get a good one. Let's get a very interesting. I know I had a Bitcoin article here. Bear with me one moment. There we go. When I see the price, I know it's nice, right? That's how I know the article's nice. You see the price? The article's nice. This article is titled $300,000 Bitcoin target becoming increasingly likely. Now, listen, I just know it's going much higher than 150, 200K in my humble opinion, not financial advice, but they're finally starting to see the potentiality. Increasingly likely, because before a lot of people didn't even believe that 150 was likely, 150K, 200K. Now it's becoming clear because of all of these different nations that want a part of it, companies that want a part of it, that number must go higher. You have BlackRock being a cheerleader trying to get more companies involved. How high do you think this price is going to go? They have major forces behind it that want to squeeze that sponge, and that sponge better have some water. It says Bitcoin failed to follow gold to all time. Why did they keep doing this comparison? Bitcoin is not gold, and gold is not Bitcoin. They don't have to follow each other either. This monolithic thinking must go away, at least for people like myself. Let's continue on. But analysts argue that Bitcoin usually follows 3 to 4 months later. It doesn't need to follow anything. I just need to know that the companies are going to put their money into Bitcoin at some point. That price will skyrocket and I'll make a lot of value off of it. I'm just being realistic. All of this, it follows this and follows. That's nescience to me. Let's keep going. Nescience, that's the word of the day. Here's some other words. Nescience, perspicacious, erudite. Setting targets as high as $300,000. All right. Bitcoin's sudden drop to $108,000 will is showing green right now at $114,078. That's called resistance, my friend. It's a beautiful time period for crypto. Just accept the goodness. It's funny. People accept the negativity much easier than the goodness. With the negativity, it's just like, yep, yeah. With the goodness, it's like, no, it can't be this good. Yes, it can. Why can it be that bad at bloody bear market, but it can't be this good? Yes, accept it. It's not going to last forever. Nothing lasts forever. We know that. But even if it's ephemeral, there's another good word for you. I'm saying for you, and I'm just like, I'm using these words. I'm practicing using these words. As ephemeral as it might be, enjoy it. So It says a 13% drawdown from its $124,500 all-time high, sparking fears that BTC price might have peaked. What? Based on what? Give me a catalyst. Give me a catalyst that was negated that shows it peaked. Because if the strong causes are still there, the strong catalysts are still there, then how could you possibly logically say it peaked? No, you have to justify that. Don't show me some chart said this. Charts are controlled by whom? Okay, so let's throw the charts to the side and let's get to them. The controllers, let's get to the control. What are the controllers doing? Right now, they're licking their thumbs and counting their money, counting that cash like a 90s villain from a Die Hard movie, getting ready to go to the, I was going to say go to the bank, but they are the banks. Getting ready to put that money into Bitcoin or XRP or Chainlink or Solana. That's what they're doing. And if we're going by what they're gearing up to do, then how could it possibly have peaked? Once again, you see the resilience? I mean, you tell me. So, now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.